Welcome back to Take 5. You know, joining us now, a man who has been inspiring people for decades with words of wisdom. Wisdom like this one we're going to show you. If there was no praise, oh, we're double reading. If there was no praise or criticism in the world, then who would you be?
And how about this one? The person who sweeps the floor should choose the broom. How about that? Thank you so much for joining us. I know Howard Behar, president of Starbucks for more than 20 years. Thank you so much for being with us on Take 5.
We're thrilled to have you here. You've got a lot of wisdom to share, and in fact, you're doing a lot of that now in your retirement years. You get to kind of travel the country and the world and talk to people. We want to get into that. But we want you to take us back because when you started, when you were at the helm of Starbucks, there were only a dozen locations. Now there's a couple of dozen on every strip mall.
Right.
This was different times.
Who would have ever thought?
Right?
Yeah. What was the secret sauce that allowed you to be part of something so amazing?
I think it was the fact that we understood from the very beginning that it wasn't about the coffee. The coffee had to be good, but it was about people. And that if we made a connection between the people that were working at Starbucks, then they would make a connection between the people they're serving, those people we call customers.
Right.
So that's what really drove the business.
And talk about making that practical, because it's easy now. Starbucks is such a massive global brand, but at the time, again, there was a couple dozen locations. You were at the helm when you expanded internationally into Japan. So how did that trickle down from you? How do you convince the employees that, no, this is going to be a culture, this has got to be about more than coffee? Well,
you have to have a purpose that's greater than yourself. If it was just about selling a cup of coffee or about selling some pastries, then who cares, right? I mean, you don't get up in the morning and say, gee, I can hardly wait to go sell another cup of coffee. But if you know somebody is coming into the store that you like and you like to have a little conversation with, and they like you, then you want to be there. So I used to tell our people that they were social workers, that they had about 10 seconds to determine where that person was in front of them. Did their child just get a full ride to Harvard, or did they just get a traffic ticket? And you make a human connection, and that's what works.
And you say that's the key, no matter what a person does. If they're feeling bored or burned out or something like that, the key is maybe they've just lost their connection to people. Like, explain what you mean by that. How can we get that pickup if we're feeling burned out?
You lose your connection to the greater purpose of why we're here. I believe that all of us are put on earth for one reason, that's to serve other people. That's what you guys are doing. You're serving them by informing them and entertaining them. I used to serve them by giving them a cup of coffee in the morning that they could have a conversation with.
Yeah, so if we're making widgets, we're still connected.
It doesn't make any difference what you do. You can make a connection between what you do and serving other human beings. And if you keep that in the forefront of your mind, then you're never going to get burned out or bored.
What are some things about Starbucks, which again has become just, you know, not only synonymous with Seattle, but now it's this global brand. What are some things about the company that you think maybe people would be surprised to know?
Well, I think the fact that no matter where you go in the world, you get the same feeling out of Starbucks. It doesn't make any difference whether you're in Beijing, whether you're in Kuwait, whether you're in London, whether you're in Tokyo. You get that same feeling. It's a place that you can come, you'll be accepted, and you can feel like you're part of something. And if you just want to be by yourself having a cup of coffee, it tastes the same no matter where you go, and you feel the same no matter where you go.
Earlier when we were talking, you said it was about, in the beginning, how you treated employees. And even before that, we know that you have a personal mission statement. Do you believe everyone needs to have a personal mission statement, and what does that look like?
I do. I think, I have a quote on my office wall: if you don't know where you're going, any path will get you there. And so I always try to have a clear path. And so my personal mission statement, which I plagiarized a little bit from Starbucks, actually, is every day I want to nurture and inspire the human spirit, beginning with myself first and then for others. And that drives my life. That informs the actions that I take, along with my values, and what I call my 6 Ps. And then I have a plan. I have a 5-year plan. Pretty optimistic for a guy that's 73 to have a 5-year plan.
We love it.
I think it's awesome.
You're inspiring a lot of people, including our audience live today. People have been texting in questions for you. I want to send it over to Michelle. We've got one.
We've got a good one that I wanted to pull up. Question for Howard: how do you stay invigorated when you feel leadership is taking the company in a different direction from the day you were first hired, especially if it affects compensation plans?
Well, if you're only focused on what's in it for you, then it's always an issue. But if you're focused on what's in it for we, the organization, then you stay more attached to it. Companies change. You know, Starbucks is not exactly the same company it was when I started, when there were 28 stores, and now there's 28,000. But it still has a soul, and it still is going a direction. And not every organization is right for everybody. I think when you get caught up in the compensation issue, that's another story. Only you can decide whether or not you're satisfied with your compensation. But if that's what only matters to you, that's a very shallow life.
Well, we also know that you're kind of on this mission to change the way the world leads.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I think that we've gotten off somehow. Maybe we weren't ever any better, but I believe in a concept called servant leadership, which basically boils down to this: is leaders are there to serve their people and help their people accomplish what they want out of life, and in so doing, their people help the organization accomplish what it wants out of life. But it's got to be serve your people first, and then you get. It can't be you get and then you serve your people. And so that's what I believe servant leadership, that we're all there to serve.
Well, look, we can't ignore that Starbucks has been in the headlines, and Nordstrom recently.
Yeah.
Any thoughts when you think about servant leadership and what's been going on in the news lately?
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that before you go?
I don't think we lived up to our expectations. I know I talked to Howard Schultz personally. It wasn't that they got bad headlines. It went to the core of what we believed in about ourselves. And you know, here were our values, and then all of a sudden up pops this thing that isn't in keeping with who we thought we were. And it was really hard on Howard and hard on the leadership team at Starbucks. And I think they did a pretty good job, you know, of getting into it and addressing it.
Well, even just talking with you for 5 minutes here, I love what you said, which goes to that very moment about it's not about the company and bad headlines, it's about the we. Not what's in it for you, what's in it for we.
That's
I
right.
love that.
Yeah.
And we appreciate you spending time with us today and sharing with our community.
Thanks for having me.
And
Howard.
Howard Behar. All right.